Hello, how you doing?
How you doing tonight?
Hanging in there. Another great day. Hello, guys. Oh, wow, didn't know I had that many on already. So how's it going? We're here at the Civilian Police Advisory Review Board meeting.
I think so.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
Better, it looks like.
What's that?
Getting better, it looks like.
Yeah. Well, every day helps.
Looks like I should have run around back.
But I still have to keep it in a sling, and when I'm at home, I have to just lay it. I can't move it. I can't put no weight on it other than small things. I can't even drink with it. I can hold it, and then I got to switch hands and drink.
I guess we'll push the button, right?
Yeah, she
Pound it on the door.
Here they go.
After you guys. So how are you doing today? What topic you got today? You
Various
yeah.
about
good.
who's most likely to lie is one of the topics.
Yeah.
And another topic would be,
Cindy.
oh no,
I'm just teasing you.
Thank you, thank you.
He was trying to do us in.
Another
So,
topic is
whatever happened to that? What's that kid's name? The kid that was killed. One that was killed, and you put out the pamphlets.
Oh, Abraham Smith?
Yeah, Abraham Smith.
What do you mean?
So, did they ever do anything at all disciplinary on the cops on that?
To what?
Did they do any disciplinary things to the cops that
No, not really. I mean, you know.
And that was the mental ill part of it, right?
Why I'm focusing, two things about that. One, it should never have happened.
Yeah.
And two, if you read the board inquiry report, you're going to realize that it never should have happened.
Yeah.
Now, when my latest one that I've been talking about, the protesters, you read that report and they're not telling you everything that's going on.
Yes.
And the one I'm talking about today is about the motorcycle that got hit and collided way
Hello,
back.
Judge. Yeah.
You all right?
Yep. Yep.
Hello there, good to see you.
Me too. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Oh,
No
that's
problem.
way back in 2016. And that report is just, it's unbelievable. I mean, they said the officer was doing it. It's just incredibly bad.
And what about the body cams? Did they all come up missing on that too?
A body camera.
Did they have body cams in
On
there?
16?
That was before they had them, huh?
They might have had, I think they had a vehicle recorder.
Yeah.
Oh my God, even worse. Hey, man.
Face down.
Oh, it's Slinky, and you did make it.
Why not?
Hey, everybody. You guys know
How you
Slinky?
doing?
Good.
We made that booty up comment.
So-
I didn't know you were recording.
No, I ain't recording. This is live. So anyway, Slinky. So tell us a little bit. You was with me at the James Freeman, with James Freeman at the courthouse, and that lawyer that he had, you knew him before. What was his name again?
Okay, well, his name is that lawyer's name was Thomas
What's
Higgins.
wifey?
Yes.
And I had him as my lawyer
Good.
when I tried to kill my mom. And
This is on film? Good.
Yeah.
Get this on camera.
This is live.
yeah, and so he was my attorney, and I went to see him, and he did the same exact kind of thing to me as he did to James Freeman. He sat there at the desk, while he was talking to
Yeah, I'm
me
just
like
watching
this,
doors, everybody else.
and
What happened as soon as I
said
sit down?
$5,000 flat fee. Well, I'm kind of embarrassed to say that as a lawyer, I didn't read the damn contract. And on the last page of the freaking contract, it said that if there was going to be a trial, I had to pay another $2,500, which would be $7,500 instead of $5,000. That's not a little difference. So he filed a motion to withdraw just like he did on James Freeman, but I went in and filed a response to the motion and said, hey, we're not having any problem communicating. He understands perfectly what the problem is. He's trying to screw me out with another $2,500. They wouldn't let him withdraw. And then after that, even though he didn't get to withdraw, I kind of had second thoughts about going to trial with a guy that was really too much on my side.
Yeah.
Just like
Same way James
Freeman,
felt, yeah.
right? So I went and hired another attorney who was even worse than him, but that's,
Not very many good lawyers in Tucson, huh?
that's yesterday. And James was given he tried to get the judge to make his attorney stay and file the motion to dismiss, but the judge would not, remember. The judge said no, and he could see that James was looking back at me, trying to talk to me, so he said, I think there's maybe
Yeah.
somebody took a break.
Yes.
After the break, we came in and the judge said, hey, guess what? I'm going to give you an attorney without filling out any
Yep.
financial information in the interest of
Yes.
justice.
In the interest of justice, just what they did to me.
In the interest of justice. So he now has an attorney. I don't know if he's met with him yet. I don't know if he's followed through with his complaint on the other attorney. But he'll have another date set up with that other attorney. I'm assuming. Soon.
Yes. Yep. Well, and they said since he has an attorney, he could do it telephonically. So
Right.
his attorney can
Well, the attorney will be
can be
deciding if
there.
there's gonna be.
He can be there, and then
I wish
and then
Connecticut allowed that.
yeah. But
Well,
the judge.
any court
if
could
they want-
allow it.
yes.
It's just whether they will.
But that judge knew that he made him come down there. It was he apologized to him several times, and he felt
No.
bad about it somewhat.
But he felt bad, but it wasn't the judge's fault, because the reason why, it was because it was Higgins who didn't notify James.
Yes. Yes.
It was his own damn attorney who
Yes.
did not tell him the
Yeah.
judge had canceled
Until he was here.
until he was here. Then he said,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, sorry." So
So, you
that's
ready
why
to
he's
go in?
upset with his attorney. Yeah.
See if we can find a seat.
Y'all excited?
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But then I thought, well, I might as well get this.
Hey Cindy, there wasn't a folder in that bag? I thought there was a folder in there. Yeah, all right. Just a, yeah, well, better than it was anyway. So Cindy, I did that if I look and see if I left the folder, so you know I folded all this stuff out. Oh, that's right, never mind. Hey. Yeah. All right, guys, I'll read the text now. Hello there, Dizzy Goat. We're at the CPARB meeting in Tucson,
This right here, we can make sure that.
getting ready to start in a few minutes.
That you're
Thank you.
Have a seat. About to get started.
I'm gonna hand this to you when I get done.
I can give him a gap.
Pass these out. Excuse me. Take one and pass it on.
Yeah.
It is 5:30. I'd like to call
Pass them around.
the June 18th CPARB meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Joaquin Murrieta,
Here.
Jaime Cabello, Annabelle Nunez, Glenn Perrin, Terry Jackson, Assistant Chief Kevin Paul, absent, Lieutenant Jennifer Pegado, here, Amy Louise Mendoza, absent, Mitch Kagan, Roy Lusk, absent, Martha Lemon, absent.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to have the approval of the legal action report and minutes from the May 21st, 2019 meeting. Do we have any comments about the LAR or minutes? I have a motion. Motion has been made, seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? point, I skip this one because I don't have anything to report. We would go directly to the call to the audience. At this time, we'll go over the rules for decorum for this meeting and all meetings of CPARB. All people here, including members of the audience, shall observe the rules of orderly conduct. Each person who addresses CPARB shall do so in an orderly manner and shall not make remarks that are profane, obscene, or defamatory, and shall not make remarks or gestures that are threatening towards any person. No speaker or person attending this meeting shall disrupt the meeting or engage in conduct that impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting. That includes unauthorized remarks from the audience, whistling, yells, and similar demonstrations that are out of order. If any person here violates the rules of conduct and refuses to refrain from the improper conduct, I will have no choice but to ask the person causing the disruption to leave or be removed. And at this time, the community may address the board with their concerns. The board may not address the specific concerns of this meeting. However, the board may at its discretion make it a future agenda item, at which time there can be a discussion. Community members are asked to address the board, not a specific member. Each person is limited to 5 minutes. All right, who would like to go first?
Make sure I go.
State your name and
I don't really care if I go first, I just want to go before that gentleman goes, Mr. Corral.
Go ahead.
oh, okay.
Would you let me know when I have a minute left, please?
Okay.
And I have one more handout, should I raffle it off? You think I get any more? I don't. Thank you. Okay, so I'm wondering what a founding member of CPARB would think if they showed up to CPARB and listened to the kind of cases and what's going on with CPARB. You know, back when CPARB was founded, it was to look at major events. Over the time, that kind of changed. You know, they had board of inquiries which were to look at major events. And then they came up with this thing called, I guess, a CPARB, which is a great way of avoiding responsibility because it's not signed. There's no way for a person to know that if the report it's issued was even reviewed by the Critical Incident Review Board. So if a founding member was to show up, would that founding member realize that it's been, I believe, since January a year ago, before they even reviewed a use of force complaint? I wonder if that would dawn on anybody. So, that aside, now let me get started. Who's most likely to lie? Is it our current chairperson, or is it our older chairperson? Is it Mr. Keegan from the auditor's office? Or perhaps Chief Hall? Or perhaps the lieutenant might be most likely to lie? Who, generally speaking, would be the most likely to lie? And the answer is, the individual has the most to lose. So if we're talking about a speeding case, chances are somebody's lying. It's not the officer issuing the ticket. It's the person standing up in court trying to get out of having a ticket. Why is that important to CPARB? Well, the cases that you've been reviewing, I mean, rudeness complaints, lack of service complaints, racial profiling is very important, but there's no way to prove racial profiling unless you're looking at statistics. So, month after month, CPARB reviews cases and they find every single one of them to be fair and thorough. Why? Because there's no incentive for TPD to be deceptive. So if you want to find deception in TPD, you have to look at major events. One of the major events that I reviewed and shared with the board before was the shooting of the mentally ill person, Abraham Smith. In there, it was a great report. It was one of the last ones done before they switched to the new format. What should have been said was said. Now, when we move on to the new format, the Critical Incident Review Board, the one that I looked at there was, the first thing that I looked at was a protest by the citizens. Remember, when you look on TV, you saw the people getting pepper sprayed, the old lady getting pushed, all that kind of stuff. And as I pointed out before, there's things in there, not wise, but there's things in there, or things that should have been in there, that wasn't in there. Like, the reader should know that Officer Green, that TPD believes Officer Green lied about the events before his actions, during his actions, and after his actions. And I think it's pretty important for the reader to understand that TPD thinks Officer Green was a liar. Now, The cases that I choose to look at are not that, yeah, there was a shooting not long ago, a couple days ago, and as I understand it, or what little I remember about it, the guys ran into an apartment. The police went in after him. There was some guy hiding in the shower with a gun. So that guy gets shot, okay? That's policing, you know, that's not, let me back up. What I'm looking for is undesirable outcomes, outcomes that just aren't acceptable. The shooting of a mentally ill individual that the mental health unit is trying to help is not an acceptable outcome. Pepper spraying and pushing old ladies to the ground is not an acceptable outcome. Likewise, in this handout here, an officer pulling in front of a motorcycle and and the motorcyclist goes flying, get killed. You know, when there's a helicopter above, okay? And that helicopter is broadcasting, following, and over the radio telling the officers on the ground where that motorcycle is. So the officer who pulls in front of the motorcycle is listening, and he's hearing where the motorcycle rider is, but when it gets time, when the motorcycle gets close to him, he all of a sudden doesn't hear. And when you read the critical incident review board report, it doesn't say why the officer did not hear. The officer heard the earlier ones, but not the later ones. And then when you look at the excuse that the officer gave as far as why he was doing the U-turn, you know, it's absurd. It's just absolutely absurd. So if CPARB was to look at those kind of things, I think the community would be better off. Thank you for your time.
Right, next.
Okay, as a founding member of this committee, I reassure you the importance of your role. The four of you here, five of you here, that represent the mayor and council. This is an oversight of Tucson Police that no other city, I believe, has. And it's important that the work that you do fulfills both your requirements to have oversight of the police department from the police chief on down and recommend policy changes after examining these. And the last year and a half, Veterans United for Cannabis has participated in the education of police and veterans medicating and other citizens legally in the city of Tucson, so that the police department knows there's veterans at risk, and there's an opportunity to educate our department. I don't know how far we've come with that, but that's one of the objects of this committee, in my opinion, is to oversee policy, review complaints, and oversee it. What was reviewed here a year and a half ago was an incident involving a demonstration downtown. The complainant came here. It then went to the Critical Incident Review Board, a new committee created outside the purview of this committee, outside the city council's oversight of this police chief. The police chief created a second tier of examinations, calling it citizens oversight. It's not the same thing that you are tasked with. You take on responsibility not to meet with any three other people in this room elected by our council to represent the citizens of Tucson without making a notice. This is public notice. This is a public meeting. And you have an opportunity to rep the citizens of Tucson, and every person under the police chief's job is your responsibility to oversee. Thank you.
My name is Patrick Gonzalez, and I just wanted to know that things that are going on with the officers that are the officers in this place. Like, they cover each other, you know, like, we're constantly being beat up. We come over here all the time, and we constantly being beat up, and it's not stopping, and nothing's ever being done about it. I don't believe for 1 second that that was an accident, you know. I think, you know, personally, I think that because the way they do it is they're rogue, because they're not held accountable for anything they do. They don't care if they're violating your rights. They don't care if they're arresting you for anything. They don't care. They don't care, you know, because they're not held responsible. And that's the thing is, every time these guys do something rogue or do something, because it's blue line ISIS, they all back each other up. They all take each other's back. You know what I mean? As soon as they do something like that, I forgot where I was at, but yeah, they all cover each other, and so forgot where I was at. But the simple fact is that the city is being, like, the people are being treated like animals, and and these guys are acting like they're the trainers, and they're beating us up, and they're doing stuff to us that they know is illegal, but they don't care. They'll look at each other and be like, well, I don't care, let them deal with it in court. And then when they get sued, who do you think it comes out of their pockets? No, it comes out of our pockets, you know what I mean, for the stuff that they're doing. Why aren't these guys being held responsible or accountable for the actions that they do? You know, being the assistant chief, you would think that he would actually care what the citizens say, but you could actually see that he gives no shit. Nobody does. Not the officers. The only people that care are the people that are getting hurt. Look at Mark. He got his shoulder torn out of socket, right? And they laughed at him. They teased him for that stuff. You know? And this is exactly what's happening. My shoulders are no good. Like the other day, we got arrested at the Tucson Pima County, at the Pima County Sheriff's Department for going over there to report the actions of these officers at the Pima County Jail. They're beating people up in there and this and that, and they can, because why? They're not held accountable for anything they do. They can't. I wish I would have became a cop, because then I could just beat the crap out of whoever I want and smack each other's hands about it and be like, hell yeah, like, and talk about it like, yeah, I punched him and like I hurt my wrist, and that's how these guys are. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. We're being treated like animals. People are being killed in the Pima County. We went over there to ask why this is going on, and because I was physically beat up, he was physically beat up over there. I went over there to find out what happened. Right away I was turned around because to make a complaint. Right away I was told I was trespassing, and then I was arrested. And not only was I arrested, the people that were with me were arrested for nothing as well. For nothing as well. And this has got to stop. I mean, when's it going to stop? Till I'm dead, or till he's dead, or, you know what I mean? Because we're the only ones that are coming out here, because everybody else is too scared to come and talk, you know? These guys, when people go to jail, you think they're scared of the convicts or the people that are in there? No, they're scared of the officers that run this place. Plain and simple. This is out of control, and we keep coming to you guys all the time, and nothing's ever being done about it except for let's back each other up on the plate, you know? So, I don't know, that's basically all I gotta say. I mean, it's just, things gotta change. Things gotta change. They got to. They can't hide behind immunity no more. They can't do that, because by hiding behind immunity, they're doing everything that they can wrong and corrupt and crooked, and they don't care. And they know that they know that they're breaking rights. They know that they're breaking laws. They know that they're doing unnecessary things to hurt people. You know, there's not 1 second in my mind that I think that guy was, I asked him to take a turn to get behind. No, he turned. You know what I mean? That's how they play, and they cover each other. They cover each other. And the worse you do as a police officer, you get promoted to a different thing. There's nothing. I mean, it's the people. All right.
Ready. Next.
Slinky, huh?
Hi.
Yeah.
So I'm all new here. I'm not here to fix the blame. I want to find out what the problem
Can you say your
is.
name first?
My name is Stevie Robinson. And so I visit a friend who's got cancer and been robbed there a number of times. They've been robbed. So I wanted to know, especially since it's become apparent that the guy's working the area, many offenses, over 12. Videotaped him shooting up. And I know there's a problem with the prosecutor's office. Okay, so that's separate. I just don't want the officers to give up and feel like it's no good because the prosecutors and the judges just don't do anything. But what really concerns me is the fact that the needle was never tested for the drugs. I guess it was later found that the fellow had a heroin problem. He was there on the property with the stolen property. He brought into the place that he was robbing. So I want to know, and what I want, my pursuit is to find out what the protocol is under this circumstances to get that darn drug tested and get a record that this fellow is a user, is on the record and can't be swept under the carpet. And my pursuit is to find out exactly what has to be done, what the rules are, what the protocol is, and that's all I can say because I don't need to repeat myself. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, guys, most of you know my name. My name's Mark Brown, founder of Tucson Police Suck. I've been coming to this meeting for quite a while also, as a never on that side, of course, as a on this side. And the thing about it, I don't like about this is we never get to do any, I can tell you what I think, but we never get to solve any problems by talking back and forth, because you never put anything important on the agenda. The 3 cases that you sugarcoat every month, you know, are 3 real minor things, and they, like he was talking about, and every single one is found to be completely reviewed and rubber stamped, the rubber stamped Internal Affairs Division. So there's nobody here really doing anything to stop the road officers. You know, there's a whole bunch of them here part of it. The ones that put me in this position I'm in here, you know, they just lied on the report, and I had several, meant to bring him in here, papers that come to my house with warrants for my arrest, because you guys put the wrong name. The city court, the city, the Tucson Police Department, and the county can't get nothing right. And I was trying to face that charge of, they was trying to say, I just walked in there and they arrested me. I was trying to serve a lawsuit on Christopher Hill. I got to give him 6 months notice. I was going in there to do that, walk in there, plop it on the desk and walk out. I was arrested. And they couldn't even get nothing right. So I can't even go to court and have my day in court on that, because Tucson Police hire illiterate people that can't even, everything was wrong on that. My name, my address, they had me at 5 foot something, you know, there was nothing right on that. I mean, any moron can look at that paper and see it's not me. And everything on there, and I made the mistake to go into court, and the other Mark Allen showed up too. So we was both there, you know, and I told them it was me, and they couldn't even get that right. So they did finally change the address, but they still call me Mark Allen Brown, and they put a warrant out for Mark Allen Brown. And several of them, I kept getting them, and I go down to pick up the warrant, but they won't give it to me because I'm not Mark Allen Brown. So it's so stupid how they are, you know. So that's one of my big problems, you know. And the same with this arrest, there's no crime committed. They're saying I did something inside the sausage deli. 1 minute left, and as soon as I got, at 10 o'clock in the morning, they called me and told me I could go back to the sausage deli. And I went back there, and I saw the assistant police chief sitting there. I sat there, I put a camera on him, I watched him the whole time I was there. And there was no law against that. The other officer was with his so-called girlfriend and had a big problem being filmed. That's the only problem. And then I got 2 counts of disorderly conduct for that, and 1 count of contributing to delinquency of a minor. And I don't know where they get that. I mean, I just think they have a whole bucket of charges and they just reach in and grab one, you know, because there was nothing to do with the child with that, and there was nothing to do with the child when I filmed the assistant police chief in the sausage deli. And in the management, they tried to call, and they said, of course he can come back. We don't even know who he is, you know, because there wasn't no disturbance that day. The only disturbance was in the mind of the officer and his girlfriend. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Oh, just real quick. My name is Vernon Phelps. I've talked in front of you guys before. You know, I almost didn't want to come tonight because I keep telling Mark it's useless, because you go here and you talk in front of these people and nothing ever happens. They don't do anything. If your group doesn't have the power to review cases that the citizens bring to you and say, look, this is where your police abused me personally, arrested me without probable cause, or beat me, or whatever. If you can't do that, if you can't review cases that are right here with victims in front of you, what good are you? You just get to review the cases the police put in front of you. What good is it? It's supposed to be citizens review. What good is it? If you can't do that, if you can't look at the cases where people are victims of police abuse and they come here right in front of you and talk to you and tell you, yeah, they did this, I got arrested without, I got beaten. If you can't look into those cases, only what they give you, sad.
Is that it? Okay, next item is presentation of the Tucson Police Department on the TV recruitment process.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for giving me some time to talk about recruiting in the department, some of our efforts, what we're doing. Good to see you again. Different avenues we're doing. I have handouts that I gave all the board members that'll kind of go over some of the stuff I'm going to talk about. I'll cover recruiting, our methods, a little bit. I'll touch on the application process, what that looks like, and then also how we best prepare our folks for the testing process as well as the academy. So for recruiting methods, really the goal is, ultimately as a recruiting officer and as a department, we want our department to mimic the community in terms of backgrounds, diversity, stuff like that. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that we're reaching out to everybody in our community. So the second page in, you'll see where I talk about the different forms of recruiting methods. Everything from your typical print ads and TV, magazine, we do radio ads, TV ads. We'll be on television, or excuse me, movie theater screens. We have an advertising budget. It's not huge, but there's some money there. So usually each testing process or each application process, I'll kind of look at different ways to put the money to use, focus on ones that we know that work. What's nice about some of the digital advertising is that we can get analytics back on. So we can find out if traffic's being driven back to our website, to the recruiting application, so are people actually engaging in it. With some of the print ad stuff, we don't have that ability as much, just because there's not a lot of, you can't capture that. The only way we can capture that is at the testing process, we actually do a poll where we ask people where they found out. It's a voluntary poll they take when they come in for the written exam. We ask them where they heard about the process or that we are hiring. And I included some of the numbers later on in this handout on where those actually fall. Surprisingly, what we found out is most of it's word of mouth. As much as everybody thinks social media and digital stuff, that's big. The social media takes up about 13% of the people say they found out we were hiring that way. Word of mouth seems to be the biggest one, whether it's family and friends, department members, or they just happen to see it right across our website. I think some of that comes from the other avenues. The more message we get out there that we're hiring, the more people that see it, they're going to tell people. Community events turn into one of our biggest ways to recruit. It does two things. One, it gets us out there talking with members of the community. And if we're in neighborhoods or working with organizations who maybe people are hesitant to apply for any number of reasons, when we can go out and speak with those groups and those people and alleviate maybe some of the concerns they had. Those events, we may not talk to somebody initially who's looking to apply. We may talk to somebody whose mother, brother, sister, friend, whatever, they're looking to apply. So then they go home and say, you know, I talked to an officer at an event. In fact, today, so this past weekend, I was at the Juneteenth event on Saturday and talked to a bunch of people. I had a great time there. And today, a young man came in. He said his mom was there. She brought home a flyer about her community service officer position. He wanted to come in and talk to me about it. So I sat and chatted with him. So that's why getting out in those community events pay off so well. The other nice thing is most of them, they're open to us. There's not a huge cost behind them versus we go to a paid job fair and they're going to charge us $500 to set up a booth. And to be honest, the paid traditional career fairs aren't what they used to be. With everything online these days, when I first started recruiting, we'd go to them and you'd see a few hundred people show up. The last paid one I went to, I think maybe 40, 50 people came to it. So there's been a big drop off on that. So that kind of covers the different ways to advertise. I wanted to talk a little bit about the application and testing process. Now, that's handled by the city of Tucson itself, Human Resources, and the Backgrounds and Hiring Unit. I don't have a whole lot of influence on how that works. But just to kind of educate how it works, the initial application comes online, everything is done online initially. And that was one thing we really worked at, and I put a lot of push on when I first got over there is, nowadays, everybody's hiring. There's a lot of opportunity out there. So if you want to capture people, you need to get them in front of your application, and the process has to be quick. It's going to take them 2 hours to fill out an application, and they have to print stuff off and mail things in. You're going to lose them to the agency or to the company whose everything's online, and it takes them 20 minutes. So our entire application, including the preliminary applicant questionnaire, is online, and everything can just be submitted. They don't have to print out anything. All their files can be uploaded. That makes it a whole lot easier for the application process. The next thing we did was the testing process. When I first started in recruiting, you would come out on a Friday morning and do the written test, and Saturday morning was the physical fitness assessment. That was it. There was only 2 opportunities. And if you weren't available that Friday morning or that Saturday morning, you couldn't do it. So if you worked nights, if you had childcare issues, if for whatever reason it wasn't going to work, you were stuck. We now do testing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's a written and a PT each day, and candidates self-schedule. So they can schedule around what works best for them. We've seen a big increase in numbers in terms of turnout. We were at 40 to 50% turnout for our testing processes 3 years ago, and we hover between 55 and 60% now. So that 10% increase is pretty significant on the back end of what we're ending up with. At the end of the testing process, the hiring list comes out. That's when they go into backgrounds and selections, and eventually job offers. The next page, I talked a little bit about numbers in terms of recruiting numbers. I mentioned earlier that we want our department to match the community we serve. If you look at our recruiting numbers, the demographics based on the 2010 census, that's the earliest, most accurate information we have. Our demographics match almost across the board. The one that we're low on is women, but women law enforcement is something across the country that we've seen actually a decline in. When I first started, it was around 13 to 14% was the average female percentage in the department. I just listened to a webinar the other day, and they said it's 12.5% now. Our department sits at about 14%, from what I understand, the last I was told. We get about 20% female that on average show up to test, and we've been averaging 16% in the academy for the last 3 years. So we're ahead of the game a little bit, but we're still way off where we need to be. To that effect, when it comes to women, we do specialized events. Lieutenant Pagnado and I did an event last year, Women in Law Enforcement Open House. We try to do one a year, bring people in, help them see what it is that is holding them back from applying, coming out and testing and stuff like that. And then you can see the strategy numbers at the bottom on how we recruit people, where they're getting the information that we're recruiting. The numbers are going up, which is good. From 2017 to 2018, I think we increased by 600 applications from the year previous, and we're already on pace to beat that this year. This process that just closed a few weeks ago, we had 671 completed applications, and that's the most we've had going back to 2016. That's as far back as I could find the numbers on, since somebody before me had started tracking. I then list a bunch of events. These are kind of a list of almost all the events we've attended over the last roughly 3 years. I went back and started looking at events people had said they went to before I came in, and then compiled all the events we went to. We've been, from October 2016 until June 2019, we've attended over 250 events. And if you notice, they're pretty spread out among different areas. Colleges, high schools, standard career events, military events, community events, stuff like that. I use a network of unofficial recruiters. I mean, everybody in our department kind of works in that capacity. But I have a set group of recruiting officers in each division that I reach out to help me with events. Especially if I'm doing events so if I'm doing an event on the west side or the east side, I'd like to have officers that work that division in that area that are with me at the event. It only makes sense. One of the things I wanted to touch on as well is what do we do to help get people through the process? because it's not just about getting into the door. There was a time in policing when you can have some of the more tenured officers even in the room. There was a time where when you applied, the police department said, thanks, we'll consider you, and they took your application, and then that was it. You can't do that anymore. There's too much competition. If you don't show that you're that person helping or help them prepare, you're going to lose them. Again, there's other options. So if you're not the one that can put out the hand to shake their hand and welcome in the process, the agency that does is going to get them. So when we're leading up through the application process, each week on a Friday, I send out 2 emails. One email goes out to everybody who submitted an application, and one goes to everybody who submitted an application that hasn't finished. If you submitted an app, people get some information about the testing process, what to expect, they get just a reminder that, hey, we're closing, you really want to be in on the process. And it's really about being able to improve if they need to go into it. We also offer free study material. The company that creates our written exam, they had study material available that I found, and we were never offering it. So we had some changes in our HR staff, and I went to them and said, hey, why don't we do this? And they said, oh, we're doing this. The study material we have. The first time we did it, the applicant had to pay for it. We now, as a department, cover the cost of that. They can get a preparation manual as well as they can take up to twice online. That's kind of how I get them ready for the testing. Then once we get them through, and then it's about staying engaged with them as well. So once the application process closes, I send them emails with the testing dates, reminders of how to get themselves ready, what to do, congratulating them on being invited. And I've got some copies of what those look like on the very last page of the handout. You'll see some of the emails and stuff they get. Once we get them through the application process, they go to backgrounds. That's kind of where they're doing the background thing. Once we make selections and we're going to offer them a job in the academy, I pick them back up at that point, and we hold voluntary orientations to kind of help prepare them as best as possible for the academy. We ultimately, as a department, we don't want to invest all this time and energy and resources in hiring somebody who we think is a qualified candidate and then lose them for some reason in the academy. So it's about giving them as many tools going into it as possible. In terms of printed material, I've included some examples of some of the printed material. I have a couple of different handouts that I print up. One of them that's kind of in the more glossier, that's one of our trifolds, and that shows you what a finished product looks like. We have them sent out to printers. That would be something I would hand out at events. There's also the next page after that has another handout that I would make up. We make all of these in-house. We have a program that makes them very fast, very quick. And we do that so I can mix it up. That way I'm not handing out the same thing for a year because we have to wait to get somebody to design them. I print up about a month or two's worth of these when I make one, and then come out with something in new pictures, up to date. If there's new information, we can add it. We're not stuck with stale information. The other thing on there, some of the pictures, that's going to be what a lot of our social media posts look like. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, stuff like that. That covers just about everything I had. Is there any questions? Yes, sir.
Is there any mental health screening process?
And it's an outside doctor that actually does evaluations of the test they take. So they take the test, the results are sent to, I think it's actually 2 doctors that we contract through. So nobody in the house, it's not even our doctor that's involved in that, it's an independent. They work to respond to calls, services, burglary thefts, traffic accidents, stuff like that. 18-year-olds, to be honest with you, and on top of that, especially 18, 19-year-olds, if they're looking to get in a law diploma or GED, and then they don't have anything to disqualify them, such as, and that's really where, and again, at that point, it's mostly easy post standards that the background unit looks at, so drug use, arrest record, conviction, stuff like that. So that's how we determined invited. We only, of that 924 showed, that ended up getting us down to quite a reduction in numbers, which is why how do we improve those numbers? And we can prepare them better. We have more, well, first of all, if I do better outreach and get more people to show up, that includes that number, because we lose a ton of those right at the beginning. Those are where the big chunks come off. So when we get more people to show up, we lose a lot less. And if we have them better prepared to get through the process, I'm not going to spoon feed them and get people through that You know, it's not like I'm gonna give them the answers to the test, but like anything else in life, we should be preparing people or allowing them the ability to prepare themselves. Give them the tools for that. So those are the two big ways we can really work those numbers, getting them to come out to the testing and then having them be successful during testing.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
I left my business card with everybody, so if you have questions or you know somebody has questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I'd be happy to chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is number 6, review of TPD investigations in accordance with section 10A-88F of the mayor and council mandate. The board may only review those charges specified in the investigation in order to comment on the fairness and thoroughness of the internal investigation and to report any concern regarding the investigation to those specified in the mandate. First case number is case 18-0650. This is the one with an off-duty employee. And there was a complaint made at the West Side substation, and there was also the complaint, finding about the CSO not obtaining all the information. Do we have any comments on this case? Questions?
The way I read the complainant was that he called for investigation regarding harassment by this civilian staff member, criminalist, harassing her by mentioning that she worked for PPD. It might be easy or hunt her down, because the complainant's son or grandson and the off-duty criminalist son bullied. So she mentioned she worked for PPD, which the complainant felt was an attempt to harass her. So what I found interesting is that there was no sustainment of the charge of harassment because mentioning where you work wasn't against the rule. The CSO who took the information from the woman who walked in the complaint got a letter of reprimand for failure to do a complete and thorough report regarding her contact information. Because I think the way I read it, the CSO had a previous incident with counsel, maybe, with anybody. It wasn't his first offense.
That's correct.
So that would have aggravated, declining perhaps for discipline.
So there is no policy against officers to use their power when dealing with citizens off duty?
Well, first of all, it wasn't an officer, it was a civilian employee. And second of all, there is policy against that. But her saying I work for the Tucson Police Department didn't rise to the level of a criminal harassment charge.
Why is that not? I think that's kind of like abusing the power, saying that you're working for the police department, and that's intimidation. Regardless if it's an officer or not, just an employee. I think that's just the way that I see it. I felt horrible for the mom dealing with the person who called her and finding to ask because they, I have the ability to track them down or whatever. I feel like it was stalking her also, which I also feel that there should have been more to it. I think that's just how I see it. This lady, whoever did the redaction did a wonderful job. It was so hard to read.
You know they did a good job, but you can't quite follow.
Except for the text though, the names showed up on the
Yeah.
text. But it was hard to follow too, but, I think there should have been more consequences. I mean, she really went to the trouble of logging into the kids' PlayStation and yelling to some kids. I don't even yell at my kids at my job. Even if I'm the authority there, I don't say I'm gonna track you down. even if there's profanity use or not. I think that was a lie. I honestly feel for the lady who made the complaint.
It's interesting, because I didn't.
Yeah, I do see what you're saying. I agree that she went overboard. But, I saw that more of a civil matter. The lady would hardly place maybe, or as far as what she did by throwing that she worked for TPE. I felt it was more like TPE, like that. But yeah, I felt that she did go overboard, but I felt it was more just that's the way I read it.
And she did admit, and I said that we wouldn't be here. You can only assume she said it for a reason, to let this woman know who I am, where I work. And that in her own mind seemed to be a mistake, because then brought the complaint in the form of complaint. Otherwise, I think it would come to TPD's attention, and she not say where she works, and then the complainant knew, maybe I'll go here and talk to her in command or something.
I think she recognized though that she probably shouldn't have said, so using her power, position to sort of intimidate. Although I think she used whatever means available to her to try to reach out and actually have a conversation is how I read it. It's interesting that you would see it more as a stalking situation. Where I would think that she was really trying to reach out to that parent to have a
I mean,
conversation.
it was like the year before this new app. I didn't even know about this app. That's creepy. Like, it shows you all the people that have the
Oh,
same name as
it's online. She used every possible resource that's openly available.
She ever goes to find immediately between the other parent and herself.
I think there was they weren't getting any responses through the school, so what I read.
No,
They
some
weren't-
high school district.
They weren't getting, they got they did get like a counselor's name, business card on there. I mean, it seems like they have been trying to deal with it through those channels, but it didn't seem like it was working.
As
But
far as the investigation itself, there was really not much that they could investigate when it was basically word of mouth, since there was no recordings. She said situation.
Well, I think it was handled appropriately, and I think it's interesting that it would come down to a person getting a written reprimand within the organization. So I think that's should be recognized that, here's an officer who dropped the ball and he got in trouble for it. So. Fair and thorough.
Any other comments? Do I have a motion on case number 18-0650?
Our charge predominantly was the investigation regarding complaint parents, so I make a motion to investigate and find out who committed the accused offense at 180650, we found fair and thorough in that regard.
Okay. Do I have a second? Motion has been made and seconded on case dash 18-0650. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Next one is case 19-0175. This one one is where an officer responded to a call when there was, the complainant was alleging that he was treated unprofessionally and treated like a child, and was trying to make a complaint of domestic violence. Any comments?
Body worn camera helps us in finding regarding the unprofessionalism treating the complainant as a kid. Was found to not be sustained, but the chain of command took the opportunity to talk to him about sometimes the tone, medium as a message, how it's delivered, and people hear more often than what is said. This particular complaint, to talk down to the kid. I mean, I think I saw one spot where he might have thought that, but it wasn't pervasive in my mind. After lengthy discussion, now can I talk as the officer, can I talk, we're going to leave here to talk to the officer to say what's going to happen, one or two things. And even that's fine, he kind of talk down to something. This is his way of delivering the message. But his sergeant went to counseling on that. Again, this is more how the officer was handled versus the investigation. The body worn camera helped underscore anything the investigator then as well. So the outcome is good.
Any other comments? Can I have a motion on case number 19-0175?
Make a motion that it be found fair.
Motion has been made and seconded on case 19-0175. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Last case is 19-0196. This is the one where the complainant was saying that she was dropping off some disabled people at Fort Canyon, and the officer basically yelled at her. The officer, she felt that the officer was hostile and thoroughly embarrassed her in front of her passengers. Any comments in this case?
So I have questions as to how with big events like this, because we saw a similar case recently with Session, Day of the Dead, where an off-duty officer had an engagement with somebody in a vehicle sort of situation. Does TPD work? They do with the event organizers, but is there like real strategic ways in which the community is informed where they can drive through when there's an event like this, where like the ride share, where drop off points are, pick up points, those kinds of things? Is that coordinated with TPD at all?
It depends on the event. So like the Day of the Dead March, it has reached over 100,000 people, and it's just an enormous event. That's pretty difficult to do. Things like the 4th Avenue Street Fair that we've been doing for years, yes, absolutely. And I think this individual stopped in a traffic light, wasn't it?
Yeah, right in the
street.
flow of traffic.
That certainly doesn't excuse the demeanor or the behavior of the officer. But the short answer to your question is yes, they do a lot of coordination with the organizers, particularly for disabled parking and drop-offs. So how to get that message to everybody,
Right.
I'm open to suggestions.
We do have a special event unit that does coordinate with those events that are, planned, particularly the ones that occur on a regular basis. A lot of times there is a traffic plan as part of that, overall plan, but to echo AC Hall's sentiment, I don't know how, that they're a great job at communicating that, because we just have more time.
Yeah, I think that might be, because if you think about the amount of time and effort that's going through the chain of command and investigating sort of these types of, this is the second one, a larger event.
That's actually a pretty good idea, because I was just recently in California at a very similar type of event, which the event itself had an app for just that, those 3 days, that laid out all of that, you know, where to park, where not to park, where you have free parking, where you have charge parking, where just disability parking is. And it was actually pretty impressive, so that, when I came back, I threw that out to a couple of different organizers, down on 4th Avenue, that obviously it costs money and nobody wants to pay, but it was very convenient and nice for everybody who attended.
I believe we've done something like that for Gem Show.
Yes, we do have that for Gem Show.
So, right, and that's a, you know, multiple week-long, you know, event, but
I think especially with rideshare now, and there's a way to sort of communicate, like with Lyft and Uber and that kind of stuff, and just, that would be helpful, because people, I think, use that service to get to those big events.
and maybe some of it too is including some of those stakeholders that maybe are left out of the planning process, being able to communicate that way.
What struck me with this one was the complaint is so well written in her complaint. And then afterwards, I can have a minute, just read a couple of lines. She wrote to Sergeant Herman. I appreciate you following up on this incident. I appreciate your time and concern regarding this matter. Like most unpleasant experiences, I like to put them behind me and move on. I've learned something from this experience, and I hope the officer involved has as well. I wish her well in her endeavor to keep Tucson Street safe. I thought that was really big of that woman. So, you know, I didn't want her fired. I don't necessarily, I just represented TPD in a poor light. I think somebody should address it. And it was. To take the time to recognize her body.
I think he really feels sorry. I'm coming from a person that cried and all this. I think he really, who dropped the blind people out, they felt really bad because of the condition too of the people. They couldn't see, so he called himself, I think, dropping them off, he thought was a safe place so they could quickly get where they were going. And then for someone to come up and start yelling, as he said here, that she could have come over and calmly told me not to drop passengers in this area again. But I know with all the hustle and bustle, because I go to a lot of events, it's a lot going on. And, you know, tempers can flare, not really meaning to flare. So I just think he was sympathetic with, because of the passengers that he had in there, and he probably took it a little harder than he would have. But you did say that they have certain places. Do they have places where you can drop handicapped people off?
I don't know for sure at the 4th Avenue Street Fair. I know a lot of the events they do, like the Day of the Dead March, Gem Show at the different tents. At 4th Avenue, I'm not sure.
Because he said he thought it was clear, it wasn't, you know, no cars, and he thought it was safe for him to be able to drop them off there.
Well, there's no doubt the officer could have handled it a far better way. There's no excuse. Any other questions or comments? Could we have a motion on case 19-0196?
Move that 19-0196 to the town of Carroll.
Motion has been made on case 19-0196. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Office of Independent Police Auditor.
Thank you, Chairman. A couple quick things. Just to know that the number of cases coming through OPS, cases, and we're on par at the present time to have reviewed almost 1,000 cases. Next, just this past month, on March 11th, we received our numbers. And we did an orientation, provided with some background information, and some, we spent CPARB. And I'm excited, I think she's gonna do a super job, she's very interested, certainly. Next thing I want to talk about is NACOL. You've heard me mention this organization before, National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. They have annual conferences. A couple of years back, they went to Spokane, Washington, and last year Clearwater, Florida. In a couple of months, we're going to be in Detroit, Michigan, where Chief Magnus will be presenting one of the topics there. And the following year, in 2020, this is important for you folks, I think. In 2020, that NACOL National Conference, annual conference is going to be held here in Tucson. It's going to be out of StarCast. So you know, your membership was, the city has purchased membership, organizational membership, and you fall under that as well. So that's $400 you would not have to come up with. I'm trying to work backwards on money. The registration is $500 for the conference. If between now and then we can find a way to come up with some money, it'd be fantastic for you folks to go. There's an awful lot of community, police advisory review board type organizations that I think you learn a lot, and they're here. It's right down the street, really. It's not gonna cost very much. It may be possible you might want to consider somehow purchasing one registration, and then everybody can go on a half a day or a full day, depending on how many people would like to go. If you can come up with a full $500 registration to go the entire time, that'd be great too. I'm gonna ask, and you're going to inquire from your warrant offices, if there's any money available, they may know more details will follow. It's usually September. So September 2020 start date is Tucson. It's going to be very large. It's an international gathering. There are folks from Mexico, there are folks from Mexico, there are folks from Canada. So it's something to think about. April 2020.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're good for you.
What do you think they're going to be? I mean, this next one is in Detroit?
Yeah, next, this September's in Detroit. And again, Chief Magnus will be presenting. He's presented these before, and I'm sure he'll present here in 2020. I'm talking about a lot of the things that we've talked about and heard about here too, about these innovative, cutting edge type of policing strategies. I'll get you information.
Police Department, in accordance with provisions of the State Open Public Meeting Law, these items are listed on the agenda in order to allow TPD to present a brief summary of current events pursuant to provisions of ARS Section 38-431.02. The board may not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take action at this meeting on any matter in the updates unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action at a subsequent meeting. Right. Let's go first. TPD updates or Office of Professional Standards?
I don't have much, other than, we didn't have an observation shooting over the weekend. So my staff has been pretty busy doing a lot of follow-up, over the course of this last week.
Mine's pretty short and sweet as well, because I forgot everything I was gonna bring. I'll bring it next month. It pertains to, what we hear a lot from the comments from the audience, and it's a recent, decision from the Arizona Supreme Court that lays out the court rules, and they made a pretty strong statement about recording in a courthouse, which we're bound to, because it comes from the Arizona State Supreme Court. We have a little leeway in it. But I will bring that next month. I'll bring copies of the decisions for everybody to give a little context to the conversation that occurs here on a monthly basis. I don't, and we as a police department don't take a stance on it one way or another. Like I said, it's out of our hands. It's the state Supreme Court that makes these decisions and rules for the individual courts throughout the state. So I will bring all that material for you and have it available to you next week. The only other thing I had was, there has been a spike in violent crime. We're paying very close attention to it. A lot of the things you see on TV, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Every evening. Lots of violence in a very short amount of time. However, when you look at it in context, violent crime is still lower this year than it was the year before and the year before that. So we're trending downward. We just have had this little spike that I've spent a great deal of time in the last couple of days. Some of it, actually a lot of it is being driven by gang activity. I think that just has to do with the kids in school, having a whole lot to do with
the period for the comments from the city of
He
Denver
makes
passed.
those reports, he never gives them to people like myself that might attend. If he's gonna make a copy of that Supreme Court decision.
One of the things I forgot to mention in our presentation, I'll bring plenty of copies.
Plenty of copies. Okay, alrighty, forgot to greet our newest member, Martha Lehman, representing World Sales from the board. Future agenda items, I had asked previously if Captain Duff could do a presentation on what she's doing, but she was supposed to do it this month, except something happened and she wasn't able to do it. So I'd like to still follow up with that. I had mentioned the property and storage of evidence, maybe perhaps followed with a field trip, not that, so we don't have a forum, individuals going to Epic. And then another one, that one would be probably a meeting to be held at the West Side substation, because give a tour of the crime lab. And since we did the first part of the hiring process, maybe down the road do like another presentation on just kind of a brief on training again. I think we may have had something like that similar one time. Okay. It's just ideas. Anybody else have any? Next month, I'd like to see if Captain Duffy could talk about that initiative. But it's it was due to a lot of the traffic incidences, so you guys created a new.
We created a position specific for a captain to coordinate traffic safety and education in the city, to work with the other city departments like the traffic department or the transportation department, parks and rec, facilities, engineering, so that they take a more holistic look at why we have some pedestrian vehicle fatalities and concern. And so she was selected as that traffic coordinator to be that liaison and come up with some strategies with the other city departments. So she's still working through that, but I think she'll be more than happy to be here next month and the progress report and what we're moving to. And it's going to be very much a laser-focused, data-driven strategy that she'll be able to lay out in far more detail.
We have her next month. Any other interests?
The Forest Review Board had a representative come talk to us. That one, they're kind of in their infancy, developing their roles. I hear that's sometime Christmas time, New Year. Another presentation based on the newest direction they have, and what their responsibility is, and what they're finding.
All right. All right.
We also possibly talk about why it's needed. I think the council should be more in the citizen.
Why the change happened about a year ago?
Yeah. I know somebody in the audience had talked about it, brought it up. And then also something that I brought up is the person who made a Facebook page under the Citizens Police Advisory Review Board / to see what are our presentations to that one of the best So what are, so there's a Facebook page that somebody made who used to be past sheriffs. And they're just like that. So
Ward 6. So Ward 6
City of
council.
Tucson, Ward 6 Council.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Hang on, I can't.
Hey, what up, what up?
Are you done?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing to you.
All right. So, oh, I always tell them. They don't care. Yeah. So guys, we're out of there now. Now we can talk. Now you can say some real comments.
Yeah, but they don't even speak up in there so you can hear them.
Well, I heard him.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear what they were saying.
the agenda.
Yeah, it's hard. That's why you got to sit right in the front row. But if you want to get at what they said, this picks it up pretty good. Go on to my YouTube page, Tucson Please Suck. We do it live. And you can
Tucson, please what?
Tucson Please Suck. Go to Tucson Please Suck.
Okay.
Yep. On YouTube. Yep. Yeah. All right, guys. Hello, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Fred Smith. Yeah, this. That's what I was going to ask you guys. In the past, everyone said the volume was no good, but I just got a new Samsung 10. You know, I had a Pixel before, Pixel 2, and it just kept going bad after a couple months. Boy, it worked, it was good, but then it would boot up. So I'm upgraded to a Samsung 10, so I'm hoping the volume and the video is going to be better quality. So I know it's got a whole bunch of cameras compared to the other one. So where you guys parked out? Way down there?
Yeah, she's in the shade.
California
girl in the shade.
Yep.
Are you still on? No.
Yep, I'm still live. Anything you want to say?
I do too. I love your wife. She's gorgeous. Inside and out.
Anything you want to say?
I felt so bad of all night since when I lost my shit.
There's Slinky over there.
I was mad at myself. I'm like, I gotta apologize to Fast Life.
Hey. All right, guys. I'm going to end this. So this was the First Amendment Strike Team here. Catil, the Hun Freedom Fighter. Slinky. And of course, El Charro Negro Justice. Go to subscribe to all their channels, except for Slinky. He don't have a channel.
Don't forget Ammo Otter too.
Yes, Ammo. Anthony Potter. If you put in Anthony Potter, it shows up Ammo.
Yeah.
So either that Anthony Potter or Ammo, either one, it gets you the right place. All right, guys. We will talk to you later.